right. All right. Okay, let's see what we can do here. All right, we missed this. All right. All right, my fellow APHARIANS, my fellow awardists. Oh man, I'm going to such an excitement moment right now. Because after I did this, after I posted what I just posted, you saw that I'm asking for money, because I do need that money, especially for those people that need my help, I'm more concerned with how they feel than me, because I know how to deal without having to have things, but some people in this world don't have a mindset for that. In any case, but for those whom I love, that I know have not trained enough to have this mindset, I kind of worry and concerned with them that not to get too much overwhelmed with the situation. But in any case, I knew I needed to do this because, I'm ready now. I know what to do with this Torah now and how to present it and what it needs to be said. But what I've realized, let me see here. Make sure that this fine mic is working. A second here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's working. All right, but let me share this my group here. One moment. Oh, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works. I'm just to my timeline, to my group. All right. What we're doing. Is everybody there? Okay, me put here. All right. But the title, I didn't even put a title. I'm asking a question here because all of a sudden it hit me. The Bible says certain things, but people don't believe it. So I'm going to prove it to you right now. In the Bible, in the Torah, because everything is about knowledge, it's Hagma Binida crownings, I call it. CBDC, that really does everything in the here and now, but people don't see it. But there you have been given a different definition of what is to die, what is to come alive. That is not from Torah, by the way. Torah has to do everything with words. So if you know something, you are connected to it, you're alive to it. And if you do not something, you're disconnected and you're dead to it. As simple as that. It's all about the transmission of words, the transmission of knowledge. And so when Bible says that, my people perish, or my people are slain or are destroyed, in Hosea 4:6, why? Does that mean that they are dead already? No. My people perish because they lack Das. they lack knowledge. And which knowledge is that? The knowledge about what is the most spiritual, best physical version of themselves in the here and now. That's what they're lacking. And because they're lacking that knowledge, they are dead and they're working for other Pecels is graven images. They're working for another narrative, sustaining somebody else's ideas and agendas. So that's what you have to understand. So that's why in the screen here, I have me, which my name is Sakar, which means to remember, and then I have Shaka Sulu, okay, and Sakar one means to remember the one source that matters, or the one me that matters, because we're here for ourselves. We gotta understand that everything in here is about my superhero. You know, the national hero of Guatemala is called TIKKUN Uman. You know, and in Guatemala, TIKKUN Uman is the person that is the, you know, like every country has a national hero, and that's the one for my country, Guatemala, TIKKUN Uman. But you know, there's a word in Hebrew that is the ideal thing of what a man should be. They call it tikkun. And so that means to be rectified, to be refined, to be the best, the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now. That is called a tikkun human. So interesting, I thought about that because I come from that country, and the national hero there is TIKKUN Uman, which is close to tikkun human. But the tikkun human is the idea to be the most rectified and most refined, to be the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. That's why the title I put today, I'm asking you that question. Let's say I offer you to come and see me. Come and see me, man, whoever you are. You know, Andy, Brian, any of you guys that know me. Come and see me and talk to me. I have $1,000 to pay you. I'll pay you $1,000 an hour right now. If you sit here, you know, and tell me, you know, like it says in the question, I offered you $1,000 an hour for you to come, you know, and talk to me about yourself. And tell me, what does it take to be the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now? Now, for how many hours you think you're going to be able to talk to me nonstop? And how much money you think you're going to be able to earn from that $1,000 an hour? You know, ask yourself that question, because this is a challenge for everybody. How many will be able to do that? So how many hours you think you'll be able to talk about what it takes to be the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now? After how many minutes you think you will stop? You think you will go 10 minutes non-stop? You think we'll go 20 minutes? You know, I will only pay you $1,000 if you finish the first hour. If you do less than that, no money. So you gotta go a whole hour, and then you can get paid. And then you can start making some more money if you go a whole an hour. But that's the whole idea. So you think you can meet the challenge. You think you can do that if I were able to offer you that. But that's the thing, you see. If you're not able to talk about your best, about the most spiritual, best version, you know, the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now for more than half an hour, non-stop, they have robbed your identity. You don't know who you are. Understand? That's how you're dead to yourself. You have nothing to say. Because a lot of people will just, all they know about themselves is that they work there, they like to eat this, they like to go to the movies. No, these are things that they have done. But what I said to them was, that the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself? You know, the movies that you like, all this. No, they will agree that that's not it. You know, that's just living for entertainment, you know. But like I said, people have a lot of things to say about the things they have eaten, the places they have gone, the things they've seen here and that. But the whole idea is, what's the point of being here now and not knowing the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself? Okay? So if you don't know that, and you cannot speak about the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself for 30 minutes, you have a problem, my friend. Your identity has been robbed, and whatever it is that you think you are not that. You are somebody else's agenda. You're nothing but what happened to Lot's wife. You are a pillar of salt. Remember when I gave you that message? Because as a pillar of salt means salt has the functionality of a preserver. It's a preservative. So all you know is that you work in this place and you preserve the business there. That's what salt does. You know, you go and buy something in this place because you like the food there and you preserve that business there. You're a pillar of salt for that. You know, a support as a pillar of salt. You like to go to the movies and you are a pillar of salt. You know, a support that preserves that theater going because you're giving support there. And you gotta like to go to the beach, you like to go buy tacos here. So you're a pillar of salt. You preserve those businesses. Because whenever you tell me that, look, I like to buy this, I like to like this, all you're telling me, I am a salt. I am a preserver. I preserve businesses. You're nothing but a pillar of salt. That's all you know about yourself to be. You understand? So you're already dead to yourself. You have no idea what is the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. You know, yeah. Yeah, yeah, it is true, Yeah, Brianna, good to see you. It'd be hard to be talking hours, that's right. But it's not just for you, it's for everybody. Because on purpose, in our countries, all our nations are not trained to teach us about first of all, where can you find in the here and now? Because that's what you need to find. Where do I go to find the most spiritual, best physical version of ourselves, or myself? So you got to know that first. And then when you found that place, then you begin to dig in there and then you begin to find out what it's all about. That part that is the most spiritual, best version of yourself, best physical. I'm trying to find the words here because it has to do with the here and now. What is the most spiritual and best physical, most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now. And then you begin to study it and then you have something to say about it. Okay, so that's the whole idea of what I'm trying to teach here. All right. Yes, So the reason why I'm saying this is because I prepare all kinds of lessons, to be able to give the idea of what the Torah is talking all about. But nobody seems to be interested in it because they don't think they have too many problems. But you got to think the way that the Bible says that you are. It says that if you are remembering who you are, you're alive to your identity. If you have forgotten, and that is talking about the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. If you remember what that is, or where can it be found, and you have studied and you are deeply penetrated in that, you know everything that was about, what everything does in there, and then you have something, because once you get to find, my friend, once you get to find the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself, you'll be so in awe of who you are, that no other story will grab your attention. So that's the whole idea, because people do not know the depth of who they are as the most spiritual, best physical version of themselves. That's why any story that comes along in the here and now, any news, draws their attention away, captivates them. This new thing captivates them. Everything, they're captivated by everything because there's nothing more wonderful than who you are when you really know the most physical, the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. Once you find that, there's nothing more amazing than that, and nothing else is going to captivate you. Nothing else is going to make you go, wow, nothing like that. Nothing else is going to make you blow your mind. Nothing. I have found what that is. I can tell you about the most spiritual, best physical, the most spiritual, best physical version of myself, because I'm living it right now. I know where I found it, and I know what I'm doing there, and I can spend hours on that. All right, so that's what I was thinking. Yeah, so before I give all my lessons, because my lessons are really for those who are interested in really knowing themselves. So the thing is that the fact that you cannot talk about half an hour, most of you won't be able to talk about 10 minutes about that. Because when they take to talk about yourself, they only talk about their job, they talk about their kids, they talk about their pets, they talk about the foods they like, these little things and that. But more than that has nothing to do with who you are. Those are your likes and things in the externalities that you like, but you have not even getting close to it. I have even asked people, well, you believe you came from one cell, right? And one ovum. You began everything with one sperm, getting together in a female ovum, and that's how you began. All right. You believe that that's where you came from, right? So that's how you began. Now tell me something about what does a sperm do? You know, spend some 10 minutes telling me about what does the sperm do, what it's composed of, how it works, how it behaves, how it's formed. Tell me something about that because that's how you begin. So if you cannot even tell me about how you began as a sperm, you're completely dead to who you are. You understand what I'm saying? You're only a pillar of salt in the here and now, preserving everybody's business, doing the functionality of salt. You know, just to be a salt to the world, preserve everybody's ideas and preserve everybody's agenda. Somebody tell you, come and join this, you go and preserve them. You use all your wisdom just to preserve the thought, to preserve the agenda, and that's how the elites of this world want you to be. Just be a pillar of salt there. So you'll be a pillar of support for whatever agenda, for whatever business they want you to take care of or look after. But other than that, they never want you to ever find out, God forbid, where the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself can be found. But you have to understand so that if you do not know where that is, you have not been fascinated enough. Your mind hasn't been blown enough so that every other story has no appeal to you. But mine has. You know, I know where the most spiritual, best physical version of myself is, and I'm there all the time. You know, keeping track of watching everything that's happening there. You know, and so this is, I'm trying to now get you curious to understand that that's why the Bible says people are dead. And when you are not in the knowledge that introduces you to the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself, you are killed. You're of no use, not even to yourself, because you don't know what you are. So therefore, some other narrative can come along and you fall into it. That's a pit. That's what the Bible calls a pit. You know, something that grabs you and buries you into it with their own ideas, with their own agendas. You fall into it, and then you're going to be there trying to follow what they tell you, try to wait when they tell you to do that, or wait when they tell you to do that. That's exactly how everybody is fascinated by narratives. They have fallen into a pit because they have forgotten their knowledge of who they are as the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. And that's the thing to ask yourself, where could that be found? Because if you have no answer for that, then you're already dead. So that's what the Bible is, the whole idea is to remember is to live again. So when you remember what it's all about, that you exist for here, you have come back to life. You have gotten out of the pit or whatever little place where you have been buried all your interests and all your intellect just to keep and preserve their agenda. And now you're living for the first time. Most people have not begun to live for the first time because they have not discovered. The Torah is all about pointing you to where can you find the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. And once you find it, you just dig and stay in there. You'll still be in this world, but nothing else in this world will have any appeal to you. Nothing else will scare you in this world because the awesomeness, and the marvelous things that you are as the most spiritual, physical version of yourself in the here and now, nothing else comes closer to it. When you find that out, you find that in the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself, you have all the titles that this world wants to give you in the universities, of being engineer, being a chemist, being a doctor, being a surgeon, anything that you can think of, all the titles and doctorates that the universities want, you have all of that going for yourself already in the here and now, in the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. You have it already. And so that's why all the schools in this world have no appeal for you. Because once you begin to find that out about yourself, you become even more knowledgeable than all these doctors and everything else. Because you're learning all the intricacies of what it takes to be put together to make who you are in the here and now. And then you begin to see all those connections. Your mind gets amplified. And you're constantly thinking in that direction. And your mind is going in the right path. And all you do is increasing in knowledge. You will never feel lonely because there's so much fascination, so much to behold. So you see, there's not a single individual that you know in this world that has all the degrees and all the diplomas of all the universities given to them. There might be somebody that, that may have 10 degrees, 12 degrees, doctors in this, doctors in that, you know. But in the most spiritual, best physical version of myself, I got all of that and then some. So you see, then nothing else fascinates me there. Yeah. Because, so you begin to see, when you begin to discover that. So that's the whole idea of the Torah, is to teach you and to take you into the direction where you can find the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get people curious enough. Is that really what you want to do? Because ask yourself, if you don't even know, if I'm willing to pay, or let me see, even if I increase the ante and I say, I'm going to pay $10,000 an hour. $10,000 an hour, if you can come and sit there with me and tell me about what it takes, for you to be the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now. And I'll start paying you after you've done a complete hour. Then you get the 10,000. Okay. Other than that, it'll be like you try. I'll give you another chance later. Something like that. But that's the thing is, I thought for a while because I was thinking even today that all this came up to me. I have prepared so many wonderful lessons. Right now, I'm ready to take this world into the promised land and everything. But people think they are alive. So if you think you're alive, you're happy with your life, why are you gonna seek something else? You're satisfied, or you settle down for whatever you call life, and that's your life. But you notice, but if you're alive, then you should be able to tell me what it means for you to be a living person in the here and now, in the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. Because if you claim to be alive, then you should be in a problem, right? But if you cannot talk about it, then you're dead to yourself. That's why the Bible works. Everything has to do with words. If you're able to talk about something, you're alive because you know the subject. That's why if you go to a convention of physicists and stuff like that, and you haven't studied that subject, you don't dare enter into that room. Because you're going to be like a dummy there. You can't talk because every word that you say is going to make you look like a fool because you don't know the subject. So being in a place where people know a certain subject and you don't, you're like a deaf mute there. You might as well, because you have nothing to say, nothing to contribute, and for you are dead to that language, you're dead to the science. Everything is the Torah is about knowledge and science. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Knowledge being science or intimacy. So you're not intimately aware of what you are and where the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now is, you are dead, period. All right, so then once you understand that, and then you want to know how to be alive and where to find the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself, then you can come and talk to me. Okay, but other than that, you can keep on going. You're dead to yourself. That means you're only a pillar of salt. You are used by your society. You are used by the corporation. You are used by the school system. You are used by the pharma system. And you're there to just be a pillar of salt. They won't give you the right way to take care of your health naturally. They won't teach you any of those things, so that then when you get sick, you will become a pillar of salt, a one that supports and preserves the pharma from keep going, because you will pay for all the medicine that they tell you have to take it. All the blood pressure will come back. You have to take all the high cholesterol will come back. You're nothing but a pillar of salt. A salt is a preservative, and you're there only to preserve all the businesses. Even though they did not tell you the right things to eat and everything, but when you get sick, you're gonna go there and pay pretty money to just be able to be kept, by the drugs that give you another side effect. But you keep on preserving it. You're nothing but a pillar of salt, supporting the things that are making you sick. And that's the payment. That's the reward you get for not wanting to know the Torah, where it can show you where you can find the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now, and then take it from there. And then nothing else in the world will fascinate you. Nothing else in the world will scare you. Nothing else in the world will be of any alarm to you. Because everything else in the world will be just like a Mickey Mouse. Everything is a Mickey Mouse version of my best, or the most spiritual, best physical version of myself. So your eyes will be focused on that, I mean, you'll understand where people are too. Because I understand where people are and why they're so confused and why things really easily aggravate them and what when they're lacking this and that, their mood changes according to their environment. I know a lot of people like that. So if you're happy when this thing goes your way and you're not happy when this thing, all of that, when you're affected by your environment or the things that happen to you or not, your mood goes up and down according to your circumstances and according to your happenstances. If your mood changes and none of that, because you have not been fascinated yet with the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. You haven't found something fascinating. You have not remotely come close to that. So that's why everything around you, has an effect on you. But getting to know, all right, the most spiritual, physical, the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now, that's the key to have true freedom. But don't worry about it. Even these so-called leaders of this society, like even these so-called elites that run the society, by the way, they don't even know about an hour speech. What is the most spiritual, best physical version of themselves in the here and now. They don't. They just know how to manipulate people, by their thoughts and ideas, because these people, everybody that does not know themselves, they can be easily manipulated. You're impressionable. You're like a kid, You don't know, and then you just listen what daddy and mommy had to say because you don't know what it thinks for. So that's how you're in this environment when you do not know the expanse knowledge and intimacy of what it takes or what you find, because it already exists. The best way already exists. You just got to learn how to join with it, and then nothing else, will stir you up or do anything to harm you. Okay? Because that's the whole idea of me trying to teach you the Torah. So I have planned everything, nice verses, which to me are great, fascinating verses. But I was thinking, but the world thinks, this world thinks that they are alive. Just because they can eat something or because they can breathe or something, that's what they think, they are alive. But the fact is, if you do not know, that's what the Torah, if you do not know the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now, you are DEAD. You are dead. Got it? As simple as that. Because what's the point of being made an alphabetarian? A person that can speak, a person that can deal with ideas, that can have wisdom and understanding. So he can do for anything. It's like can work in that store, he can work in that restaurant, he can do all of that. So it shows that you have intellectual capacity. But yet, you who are the one doing all these things cannot even talk about yourself, and about what the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself does in the here and now, and why all of us should be fascinated with that. You cannot even mention that. So therefore, having the alphabet, having the ability to speak, but not being able to even speak of you, what's the point? That's why you're in a pit. When you are not in Torah, you are in somebody's agenda and you have fallen in the pit. You have fallen in a sepulcher. And even it's interesting because even if you are in Christianity, you know what the Jesus of Christianity says. You are the light, the salt, the light of the world and the salt of the earth. Tells you that. And because we're supposed to be the light of Torah, and the ones that we are preserved by Torah. All right? So that's what so if we're not the light of Torah, that means we illuminate what Torah gave us and we bring it to bear. Like the stuff I'm telling you right now, I'm being the light of Torah. I'm telling you how Torah views everything in this world. The first thing, the first fundamental is to know thyself. And why do all the philosophers say that? Know thyself. Well, hardly anybody does it. And they know that part. Everybody knows that word. Know thyself. Sound right. But tell me something there. How much you know about the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself? Let me hear it out. Let me have you spend a whole book of your own in your own head explaining, so that by the time I'm talking to you, and in the 2 hours, I would have completed like a little booklet, of what would it take to be your what does it take to be your most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now? So I will have a lot of wisdom to gain from it. You know what I'm saying? Okay? So that's the thing is we spend using our intellect and everything, but if we spend and we can talk and we can think, but we cannot think about ourselves, we cannot talk about ourselves, then you're only a pillar of salt. You're as good as the pillar of salt. You're only a preservative for a society. You're able to speak on behalf of a business. You're a light to the world for that business. You're able to speak on behalf. You're a light. You are illuminating what this business does, what this business does. You're recommending that. You're recommending Amazon. You're a light for Amazon. You buy it from Amazon. You're a pillar of salt. You're a salt and a light to the world. Because, in the Christianity, they created a society of perfect preservers, perfect pillars of salt, and perfect light to all their agendas that they want to impose upon you. Because as long as they cut off, the Torah, the law, because the law killeth and all of that, the stuff, they won't have you know that you're never going to acquire any knowledge of the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. Because that's the point of Torah, and it has to be read, like I said, it has to be read in the present tense for people to understand that. Okay? That's what we're doing in the here and now. Okay? That's what is happening in the here and now. Let me see here. Let me go back here to the business here. Okay? All right. See how we're doing. All right. All right. Okay, let me see here. Yes. All right. So, so as I'm saying here, this is you gotta arouse the curiosity. I think I'm gonna try to reach what this guy called Valuetainment. He has this program that I put a lot of his things. Sometimes he's called Patrick Ben David. No, Patrick Bet David. Patrick Bet David. Yeah, Patrick Bet David. Patrick means father, and Bet David means house of David. And I like a lot of his things, but I think this will be a subject that he might like to consider, because no newscaster, no news has ever proposed this idea, to invite people to come. I'm willing to pay them $1,000, if they can spend, an hour or so, whatever time they spend talking about themselves, then pay them for that, for them to give what it takes to be the most spiritual, best physical version of themselves in the here and now. Because I think that will be a good subject to have them entertained. Because no newscaster has ever thought of that. As far as I can tell, I never heard it anywhere or anybody making a proposal like that. But I think it will be a good idea. And I like this guy, so I think I'm going to try to approach him with that idea, see if he wants to do it. See how many people will come for that. How many people will be ready to participate in that. And because all of that tells you that if you are not able to talk about yourself, they have robbed your identity. You're only like clay and dough. You're shapeable to whatever agenda they want to use you for. You're not solid at all. You don't know how you contribute to everything that's happening in the here and now. You're completely cut off. And what it means to be dead is to completely be cut off, to lose connections, to lose the connectivity with your own self to begin with. And how it is that way. Because once you find the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself, you connect to everything. You connect to everything that's happening in the here and now. And you see the news and everything that's happening, not from the angle that they're telling you, but behind the scenes, what is it that they're trying to accomplish with it? You see, I'm going to tell you right now, for example, the idea of war. Okay, let me so I can tell you. I'll show you here. Let me put this thing back again, this picture, because this is very important. These are the two things that the Bible deals with, that you need to understand it from their point of view, or otherwise, you will always be, it's about these two guys, all right? This called Shaka Zulu, I put there because the word in Hebrew to forget is shakak, shakach. That means to forget. So that sounds close to shaka, and that's to forget. So in the Bible, for example, in the book of Psalm chapter 9, verse 17, it says, the wicked shall be converted, or shall be turned into hell. It's called Sheol. And all the nations. So, when are you going to go to hell? According to Psalm 9:17. Yes, I'm going to read it. I'm going to say it to you again. It says, the wicked shall be turned or shall be converted into hell or into a Sheol, which means also a pit or a grave. You know. And all the nations also that forget God. So, God, it's not like God sends you to hell, you know, or God, you know, for something bad that you did. God makes you into a hell. That means you're going to consume everybody's idea, everybody's script. You're going to eat it up because you have nothing else to live off of your own knowledge. You have to be eating, and that's the nature of a flame, just consuming and eating things. Okay? When you know yourself, you are like a tranquil sea, like a crystal tranquil sea. There's nothing that you need to consume from this world. So that's why nothing will disturb your peace. Because as far as you're concerned, the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself has no need of all the things that the world is telling you that you need. You're so perfect and so complete, you know, that you're actually ready to help anybody at any time, you know, with all the things that you're able to get in this world. And there's nothing else that add to you. But these two things, these two characters, shaka, and so to forget, to God to forget is more dangerous than whatever else that you do. To forget makes you become a hell, you know. So that's the thing. So forgetting is as good as killing somebody. Forgetting God is as good as killing him. And for killing God, you know, because you forgot him, because the word to remember, because people say to remember is to live again. So if to remember is to live again, then to forget is to kill anew. Understand? So when you forget about God, you forget about Elohim, it's as good as killing him. And what happens when you kill somebody? You're put in a jailing pit. You're put in a pit. You know, you go, you know, to be thrown away at the slammer. You know, you're put in a confinement. So you're put in a graveyard. You're put in a sepulcher. That's what happens to you. And that sepulcher happens to be a system of belief that just keeps you busy and entertained in whatever it is that you have to do for them. Whether it be a manual in the job place, all you have to do is what to do to take care of their business. And that's all they're concerned with. So as long as you're working in their building, you know how to do this, how to clean that area, how to handle that product. That's what you're busy, and that's your pit. You know, that's the only thing. Around those confinement of that manual, what to do, that's all you live. So you're buried in it. All your ability to be able to think far above that is completely squandered away. Because you're buried in a little manual that just tells you what routines you're going to do there. And in there, you're in wantonness. You need this, you need that, because you have not discovered your completeness yet. So this is how you have to look at it in the Bible. So when God says he's going to convert you, all the people that forget energies or forget energizations, that life here is about to energizing, you know, the character of your maker in your, you know, seeing that the character of your maker energized within you and be able to explain that, you know. So if you do not know how to explain that, then you're going to be caught up explaining somebody else's business, somebody else's government agenda, somebody else's church beliefs, and everything else. And outside of what they have to tell you, what they taught you, you will not know anything else. So that's your pit. You know, that's the ones that put the limit. So that's what happens when you kill God, because God is, you know, unending knowledge, you know, unending understanding, unending energies, unending wisdom. You know, because once you get to know how he makes things, you connect with everything, and you can just go talking and talking and talking nonstop. You know, and that's the whole idea, to get into Torah for that purpose, to expand, to come out of the pit, whatever little obscure, you know, belief system or manual that kept you bored all the time. You can actually leave the place, you know, or you can be in it, but your mind can be so many other places now that your life is never a bore, because there's so many things that really matter about who you are and about how you see yourself and your workplace and everything like that, you know. Therefore, nothing. The circumstances around you don't have any sway over your feelings and stuff like that. So that's the thing that has been happening. So that's the thing that we have to remember. So in here, uh, so like I say, in Psalm 9:17, the wicked shall be turned, the Rasha shall be converted or shall be turned or transformed into a pit. That means you yourself can come up with your own idea what you want to do with your life, and that's your pit. Because those are your little things you want to accomplish, the bucket list. You have a bucket list of what you want to do in this world, and then you go over the bucket list, what you've done in your bucket list. And that's all your agenda. Very limited, very boring. Okay, nothing much to say. They tell you what your life is about. Well, what I do in my bucket list, you can say it in less than 10 minutes. Okay, then there goes the end of your life. Nothing much to say. That means that everything else you have been doing has been to preserve this business, to preserve that business, and to like this taco, and to like this soda, and all these things. You've just been a pillar of salt. You've been a salt, a preserver of products, and giving your intellect and everything to bring light of the situation of what is happening in here, what is happening there, because you have nothing else to talk about yourself. It's very limited what you have to say about yourself. Nothing fascinating there. So might as well follow what somebody is telling me. Might as well see what this guy is eating here in Facebook, or where this guy went this weekend. That's more interesting. I didn't do that. So you're completely you have no length of speech for the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. So of course you're taken by everything else. So that's why, the Bible, when you pay attention, and it captivates your mind, then you yield your wisdom, understanding, and knowledge to it, and then you want to dedicate yourself to preserve that idea, to preserve, and without even thinking, you're yielding everything to it, and that's the thing that happens with a person that do not know themselves. So like I was saying earlier, a lot of people said, know thyself, but very few people do, because they don't know where to go to begin to discover the most spiritual, best physical version of themselves in the here and now. But if you begin to read Torah in the present tense, not in the belly of Chronos. When I said to read Torah in the belly of Chronos, that means because Chronos is the god of time. Okay? That something began at a certain time and then something can happen later. The god of time, time is a god. And Chronos is that god, the one that is the god of time. Okay? And so all narratives, I don't care, because I looked up all the Hebrew ones that had been translated. Like you buy a real Hebrew Tanakh with the 24 books that they have, and with the translation in English, and all they have, all of them says in the beginning. So when every Bible that starts in the beginning, it starts in the belly of the god Chronos. They are exalting the god of time. Because if there's a beginning, people assume right away, okay, that's where time, space began. That's what they assume with it. When you use the words in the beginning, in the beginning, God created. When you start reading the Bible that way, right away people think, oh, that's where time and space exist. And they put the whole stuff in a frame time, in the format of time and space. Worshiping, right away. Every Bible that starts with in the beginning is worshiping Chronos. Even science worships Chronos, you understand? Because the scientists are the most craziest worshippers. They are the most devoted worshippers of Chronos, because they believe that time, given it a long time, into the billions of years, organisms that are very complex, can be formed. And then that can evolve into something else. And so forth. So they believe that, given enough time, things can happen. So they are the most faithfully devotees. So even in a person that is a scientist and they say they don't believe in God, they are the most devoted to Chronos, because they believe in a long time. Like people in the Bible, they say that the Bible is just for 5,000 years, 7,000 years. But those that are for science believe in billions of years, they are really devoted to Chronos. Man, Chronos can make it happen. Just give it time, and that thing will be formed. They're faithful that happens. But they don't realize they're not atheists. They believe in chronos. It's just that they don't know that time is chronos. So, but that's the thing. So you begin to tell the narrative of the scriptures in the belly of chronos. That means in the perspective of chronos. You're now worshiping, the God of the here and now. And you lost him. So right away when you read the Bible in the beginning, you already lost the God of the here and now. And you also lost yourself. Because the real, most spiritual, best physical version of yourself is found in the here and now, not in time and space. And so that's why you have to read the scriptures in the present tense. So everything that you read is just a translation. And so therefore everything gets lost in translation. But in the original Hebrew, when you read, the first verse, Genesis 1:1, it says, Bereshit. Bereshit means means in, like como te interpreted in, but Beth is also like a house, like a place, like a house. So house could be interpreted like just the word ba, the ba, and then Bereshit is Reshit is the head of a woman. Literally the head of a woman. It's not the head. The head of a man is Rosh or Rash, but the head or the neck of a woman, the head of the woman is Reshit. So if you translate it literally, what it says in Hebrew, it say in Reshit, in the head of a woman, or in the house of the head of the woman, or in the house of the woman heading. You can put it that way. In the house of the woman heading, the one that's heading the show, the one that's leading the show. In the house of the woman that's heading the show, okay? Because that's what Bereshit means, the head of a woman. All right? So in the house of the woman that's heading what? That's the one that's leading. So the house of a woman that heads, that means that leads. And then what else after that? The word bara follows next. And that's translated as create. So in Bereshit, that is in the head of a woman, create. That's the very next word that follows. In the head of a woman, create. And then it comes Elohim. Then it comes gods. But you see, so you translate it exactly as it is there. In or the house of the woman that's heading, create gods. Then that will go against all the religions the way that they're teaching it. Because the way that they teach it is, in the beginning, God created. You say that God created. But in the original it says, the house of the woman heading, create gods. So that completely destroys everything else that people do to understand it in the format of time and space. Because then they say, what do you mean you can create gods? You see, you have to learn something brand new then. What does that mean to create gods? Man, that was never taught to me. So you see, you got to start Torah 101 again, because the Torah is for the here and now. So when it says in the house, or house of the heading woman creates gods, because everything is in the present tense. House of heading woman creates gods. And then it says, so Bereshit, because my Hebrew not that way, but Bereshit bara Elohim. Then it says, then it says about the heavens and the earth, but the way it says it, I'm not sure if it come before, but Bereshit bara Elohim Shamayim, Had Shamayim and Had Heretz. But the interesting thing is because it says, but that's non-translatable. If you look for the word, there's a word in there that's just the Aleph and the Tav, which means the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and the last one is like saying from A to Z. And you read all the other versions. I know I read them all in English, but in English it says that word is untranslatable. So the 7,302 times that it appears in the Hebrew, they do not translate it in all the other languages. So how can you take a word that appears 7,302 times out of the Bible and think you still have a complete Bible with you? You lost something when you take 7,000, a word that appears 7,302 times. When you take it out of the Bible, you lost a great deal. You missed out something. But this is done, so that people will stay in the format of time and space and will stay in the belly of Chronos. And they will never get to know the dynamics of what's taking place in the here and now. But let me continue with this, because this is just to tell you how, if you don't translate it in the present tense, you're going into something different. But now let me explain to you, what in the Bible means Elohim and what the word bara actually means. Because the word bara is the word that's been translated, created by many interpreters, and that makes you think that everything came out of nothing. Okay? That everything came out of nothing. But the word bara is actually the word also for fattening a thin cow. If you have a cow that is very thin and you fatten it with good stuff, you give it all the good stuff, you get to be that's also the word bara, to fatten something. Something that is not, that powerful yet, it's not good yet, it's not good to be eating because it's not strong enough, it's not big enough. You fatten it. And then when it's really fat and ready, then everybody can benefit from it. So it's the idea of filling something up. Something that is empty, you pack it. You prepare and you pack it with stuff that needs to be useful. So that's the whole idea of understanding what is coming with. And I'm going to tell you right now that there are 3 books in the Bible that hold the key to understanding the Torah. And these are the books written by Solomon. He wrote 3 books. The book of Proverbs, which he dedicated that book to Chokmah, which means wisdom. Okay, Chokmah is wisdom. And in there, wisdom is personified as a woman. Wisdom calling on the street to my children, come here, all this stuff. But all wisdom is personified as a woman. Okay? And the second book that he wrote is the book of the Kohelets, which you know as Ecclesiastes. And Ecclesiastes also is the second book, and that's dedicated to understanding. That's Bina. So, Proverbs is dedicated to Chokmah, which means the woman, personified as a woman. And Kohelets, or the Ecclesiastes, which means the book of the announcer. Because Kohelet means the book of the broadcaster. Kohelet should be the book to exemplify what a broadcaster should do, a person that runs the news. Because that word Kohelet just means the newscaster. That's all it means. So the word, the newscaster, is dedicated to understanding. Okay? But that's the book that has robbed the whole world more of it from everything that matters than any other book in the translation. Not in the original version, but in the translation. Because that book is all about Bina, about understanding. So you can have understanding of what's happening in the here and now. Okay? And the way where they messed up the most on that book is by the translation of 7 verses that repeat themselves. Because the whole thing of that is that, like it says, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Okay, that's how it begins. Vanity of vanity, all is vanity. So if you read that, vanity of vanity, all is vanity, that gives you understanding of what is happening everywhere. Because the word vanity means nothing of nothing is everything. Everything is nothing. Because the word vanity just means like nothing interesting, nothing essential, nothing. Everything is vain. It's a vain of vain. Everything is vain. It just gives you that impression that everything is meaningless. But that is the key words to explain what understanding is all about, and to see the activities of happening here. But with the translation of vanity, all this vanity, you don't get any idea of that is understanding. And so a lot of people don't really know that book. You know, they just know that it's the book about time, that there's a time to run, there's a time not to run, a time to cry. They know the seasons in that book. And they know that about it, but they don't know too much about that book because it's just vain. Vanity of vanity. I know the subject. You know, my life is vain already, so why study more? But now it's not about, it's the mistranslation. You know, in that book, the word vanity of vanity is always vanity, and then there's another 17 that reveal themselves. And he explains how everything, the work in the field, this is done in here, this is done over there. But all of this is nothing but vanity and vexation of spirit. That's how he ends. He concludes. Then he goes to another tangent of things that are done here and there, in the castle, in the field. And then he starts again. But all of this is nothing but vanity and vexation of spirit. 7 times he repeats that. And it's translated, vanity and vexation of spirit. You know, so this is for nothing and just to tire me out. That's how people will understand it. So everything that I do is for nothing and just to tire me out. You see? And they completely lose the whole dynamics of what is happening here now just because of the translation. So that's why everything can be, that is lost in translation can be gained when you read the original and the way God wanted to see the dynamics of what is happening here now. Then you'll discover, you know, the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now and what it's doing. You know, and for whom it's working 24/7. And how smart and everything he does. And, you know, just amazing. You know, and it's physical. And it's spiritual at the same time. All in the here and now. You know, and it can be scientifically proven. I'm not making it in my head. Like a lot of people think who they are is in their head. What you think you are in their head, that's not you at all. Even the affirmations that you give to yourself, I'm a conqueror. I am this, try to make yourself feel good. None of that comes close to who you are as the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now. All those are leshon hara. You're not living up to the standard of who you really are inside, you know, of your true potential of being the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. So all these things are happening. So I'm trying to point into that because I didn't have a beautiful lesson prepared because it took me 3 days to prepare non-stop. But I thought at the end of the day, well, people keep on thinking that they exist when they don't. Because they can't even tell me anything about themselves. Like I prove right now with the question I put out. So if you cannot do that, you know, then you're completely lost. And because you've forgotten that you came from a single cell, and you've forgotten from a cell that is made of mitochondria, that means powerhouses and all of that, and you've forgotten that, you don't know even a little thing from your very beginnings, from your early start. You're completely dead then. And all your intellect is all dedicated to whatever, you know, alphabet attracts you here and fascinates you. Then you become the pillar of salt for that. And that's all you're here for. So there are very few options. And as it is right now, so this whole thing, what I'm telling you is because the war that is happening, the war that's going on, all the stuff that people give you, their agendas, their narratives, their belief systems, their doctrines, all of that is little pits that they want to put you in to keep you away from ever finding out. We're going to bury you here with our doctrine. You're going to be here with us generation after generations. Your children are going to believe what we taught you, the doctrine. They're going to believe that they need to be saved this way and this way. Generation after generation. They're going to be serving us as pillar of salt and light of the world for us. And they know that. You're very good like that because you yield all your potential as soon as an alphabet comes to tell your story, you know, that's being used. So you're perfect follower of the alphabet if you don't know the alphabet of the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself, then any other version, any other alphabet that is used for any narrative is going to lead you. And there you're only going to be a pillar of salt, you know, and a light of the world to that particular, you know, agenda. So, so that's why I'm trying to get you interested in something that is far more interesting and far less boring than anything else, you know, that you haven't thought you would imagine. And your mind will just be exploding left and right. I'm always constantly fascinated by what is happening, you know, with my most spiritual, best physical version of myself. It's just That's where I'm completely rejoicing all the time. That's why you see me when I'm here, I'm always just sharing jokes. Because I'm with my father Isaac. Isaac just means the joker, the one laughing all the time. So I have the heritage of my father Isaac, which means laughter. So I'm always enjoying myself, no matter how bleak the situation got, like lately, like I was explaining, you know. But I was explaining that we have to find, therefore, what are the instruments that are used in this world to make us forget, where we can find the most spiritual, best physical version of ourselves, so we don't have to be scared by anything, and therefore find what those tools are that are making us forget, because that's are the ones. If you're using a tool that makes you forget yourself, you are the worst killer of yourself. Okay? Because if you forget the most fascinating part of you, what it's composed of, to make the most fascinating, you that there is in the here and now. So if you don't know all these little parts and components that are participating in it, if you don't know how to name them, if you don't know what they're doing for you, if you're, if you're not engrossed in that, if that is not what captivates you, then you're gonna have enough time to be listening to all the crap in the world, and everything else is gonna fascinate you in the world. And the thing, whether it be something that you like, it's gonna make you happy, or with something that you're scared of, it's gonna make you afraid. So your feelings are gonna be going up and down because you are not into the knowledge, of what the Torah wants to tell you in the present tense. Okay? So I have the lessons now. I have all of this together. So now I'm just going to think of fascinating ways to make people interested in finding out, why. Like, for example, I told you right now, the word Aleph-Tab at the beginning says, because in the beginning God creates us, it says, in the house of the woman that's heading, create or fatten or fill or prepare. And then Elohim. Elohim means powers or faculties, abilities, skills. All of that means Elohim. Intellectual powers, the ability to think, put a thought together. Every thought is a new creation. Every thought formation is a new creation. So the ability to put things together, that's what matters, because when you read the Hebrew, it's all about the letters that matter. Okay? So in the Hebrew, for the word God is an Aleph and a Lamed. An Aleph and a Lamed, which means El. That's what the elites like to have elite, because it has Aleph and Lamed. The Aleph means the A, which means power or strength or leadership, or power, strength, or leadership, and the Lamed. The L just means lessons or learnings or teachings. So the word that we know as God, in our schools that they teach us, when you go to the Hebrew, is a capacity that is found, in the here and now, to enable us to do something or to accomplish something. Okay? So El, according to who God is, just God. Elohim is plural, it's gods. Okay? So El is Aleph Lamed, just means a strong teaching or a powerful lesson. That's what a God is, according to Torah. A strong teaching or a powerful lesson that gets you to see something that you have never seen before and make you to understand something that you have never considered before. Those things are God's, because it takes a lot of powerful teachings to run a society. You understand? You have to have a teaching to know how to run the powerhouse, the plants. You have to have a teaching, strong teachings to learn how to run the townhouses, the city town halls, to know all of that, to learn the universities. All of that is run by strong teachings, powerful lessons. So everything that teaches you something to be able to do something, that's a God. See, everything has to do with the letters. That's why the Jewish people are called the people of the book. And they even themselves have forgotten, because they don't even see it this way. But this is how it is. People that are very persuasive in speech and they can give a strong speech, they are using their mindset and the way to give a strong lesson, a strong teaching, and therefore they're using the ability of a God. Because a strong lesson or a strong teaching, that's what a God does. It's an energization that activates you into a certain direction to do something here and there. Okay? So that's how you got to understand. So then, let me see, I think I'm bending too much because the camera is going down. That's why I'm going to put it here this way. All right, yeah, that's better. Because I was trying to I was going more in the other direction. In any case, so these are the things that are going on. So you need to understand these are the things that we need to understand. Everything is about words, about putting the two words together, and then it shows you a functionality. And that's what that thing is with the word. Because at the end of the day, in order to run a society, you need a lot of skills. That's powers, abilities. You need skills, you need faculties. So that's why when you read the scriptures, when it says like that, and it says, so in the beginning, that means in the house of the woman heading, fatten, prepare, and care, fatten, prepare, or fill, powers, abilities, and then for what? So from A to C, you can make the heavens or the ceiling. And from A to C, you can make the earth. So that's all ALEF-RESPIRATIONIST. But it's not even translated like that. You don't even see that in English, from A to C. It doesn't say that. But it's the word that's been taken out. So from A to C, that little phrase from A to C has been taken out 7,302 times in all the translations. I know for sure in the English translations. So that, when you take that, you take away the emphasis of how important it is to look at every word, and then you end up finding out that in the workplace, in order to be a creator of product or service, you got to know the manual from A to C. That's what they tell you. We want you to get to know this book from A to C. And I want you to make me a good product and a good service so I can be in business. Because if you do not know everything from A to C, you're just going to be a consumer and user of my product. I cannot help you around for that. I need you to know everything from A to C. Therefore, you're going to be a producer here just like me. And that's how it is, the Bible. It's in the present tense, and everything, it repeats 7,302 times from A to C. To do this from A to C, it just repeats and repeats like that. To make you emphasize the importance of knowing everything well, being intimate with your subject. All right, so that's what it is with Torah. It teaches you the importance of that. So, so therefore you understand that's the pattern that is followed in any city, or anybody that is going to make something. For example, Brianna was here. Let's say Brianna wanted to come up with something to cook, like a cake or something, Then, if you don't have a recipe book or you want to create one of your own, then what you do is you tell some ingredients out. You think, I'm going to add some of this, some of that, some of sugar in this. You start writing it down, okay? But first of all, you go to your head, to plan it, and you prepare it. You write down the idea you want to make, and then you follow those ingredients that you even write from somebody else's idea and suggestion, like I probably do this, so you prepare your own recipe. Now this recipe is your strong lesson, your strong teaching that's going to guide you now, or whoever wants to use it, to making this cake. So you got to prepare also the recipe first. You got to put it together. And that's your strong lesson with structure that will allow you to make, the cake from A to C. So the Bible is teaching in the beginning the dynamics of what's happening in the here and now in order to make anything happen. Everything has to be done in that process. And so one thing that happens when you go to the book of Proverbs, it tells you that, wisdom is the principal thing. So, therefore get wisdom. But with all that getting, get understanding. But it's telling you that the main thing is wisdom, or chokmah. But it says, but wisdom is the principal thing. And guess what that word principle is? The word principle is the same word as Reshit that was translated Reshit, that was translated in Genesis 1:1. Bereshit is the same word, Reshit, the head of a woman. So that's where Solomon is giving you the key to understand how you need to read, the Torah, so you will not put it in the belly of Chronos, in the format of time and space, and lose the whole dynamics of what's happening in the here and now. So therefore, you need to understand. So then, what it says, what it's saying is, in wisdom, or in the house of wisdom, form or prepare or sharpen skills, or fatten the people that are weak in the mind with faculties, with powers, with skills, with abilities. So then they can go out into the world and they can create buildings. They can create doctors. They can create all these things. They can fatten, they can build them up from A to C. They can train. And that's what the whole idea of how you create a city too. You got to create the school system where people go with their empty minds, don't know anything. And there they have the books and the manuals. So the school center is considered the place of wisdom, where the empty-headed student goes in there, and they begin to filling up with ideas of this and that, all of that. And so those ideas, those ideas is what make them become, because now they have strong teachings, they become Elohims in this world. They have skills, they have abilities. And because they are Elohims, they're people with skills and abilities, they can go and do whatever they have been raised, the strong lessons that they've been given. They can create a house, they can, they can do all of that from A to C, because they know how to do everything from A to C. So what it's telling you there is the dynamics of what's happening in the here and now to make things, to run a business. So then therefore you understand that the Torah is all about the dynamics of what happened, or what's going in the here and now, to run everything. And so then when you begin to see how everything just follows that pattern. So this book is far more fascinating, than all of that. But then it's also not talking just about that, but also talking about the place where you can find the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. Okay, so it has all this multiplicity of direction. You understand the dynamics of the externalities of this world in the necropolises and the dead cities that cannot procreate themselves. And then you also understand, the dynamics of what's happening inside of you. Everything that is taking place within you. So it has an amplitude of awareness to give you. Okay? So I'm telling you the little things. I'm not getting deep into it. I'm just telling you things so you will understand why I am fascinated with the Torah. And that's why there's nothing else in this world that fascinates me more than this book. I pay allegiance to this book. The Aleph of that book is my land. That's where I live, and that's where I reside all the time. And just by living there, I connect with everything. I have a lot of understanding for people. I know what they're going through. I can feel what they're going through. But I know I understand that they're going through because they lack what I know. So of course, if you lack what I know, you can only deal with the knowledge that you have. And if that knowledge is not Torah, it's not going to give you, a big, strong character to be able to withstand whatever happens in your circumstances. And that's why the whole world is altered right now. All these things that happen, right now, whatever happened to Trump, they seems to have 34 counts against him. And I thought that's an interesting number, because 34 is 1717, and 17 is the number of functional or good. So instead of saying good, it happens the opposite to him, double good. But in any case, but still not over yet. They're going to have to do another trial, so everything in the world is just theater. You understand? Everything is just there because the world has nothing, nobody's fascinating by the knowledge of themselves because they don't know themselves. The whole idea has been sabotage of who they are. And the most faithful thing to do that, to keep you forgetting about yourself, is money. And that's what I was trying to explain. And that's one of the reasons that I posted what I did today. I have some people that depend on my health, and for some reason, God made it so that for the first time, I was left with money to do the things that I do, to help different people, because I got a tax levy notice that for the last 3 pay periods, 3 or 4 pay period, they've been taking out 25% out of what I make on top of the taxes that they already take. They put a levy on that because, yeah, let me go to this and see if I can. Because I wanted to talk about that, but let me see if I can get around to that. All right. There you, Brandon. I have you in my $1 million bill here. I don't know if you've seen this. You owe your 3 kids a crown. And I'm trying to teach to wear thy crowns, wear thy crownings. So a very good teaching here, by the way, of telling you how people rob your identity. Because you're not wearing your crownings. You're casting the crownings to dead things. And you forget about yourself. But okay, that's that. There's other people here. Wear thy crownings. Let me see what else I have here. Yeah, it's wear thy crownings. All right. The Torah. All right. And okay. And now this one is the cell as a city. This is also find out the fascination with what we have going in ourselves, in our biopolises. Everything within us is a biopolis, and living cities. But I'm trying to prepare all of this, for the people to have an idea of. Let me see if I can come here. Here we go. And so yeah, I talk about this, but then I talk about today. I talked about this because this is something that's been happening to me. Because the government laid a tax levy on me, okay? So like by this time they have taken about $2,100, and that has made it kind of hard for me to help all the people that I help, And so I was more worried about them because they do depend on my help, and some people that have tragic moments and stuff like that. I try to help them as much as I can because I do use very little money for myself. I mostly give it away. But this time, most of the money that I use for people, and even affected my own rent and stuff like that. That's why I asked for some assistance. Not necessarily that I know I'm going to get all the money, but it's just, I thought I'd give it a chance. But the thing is, all that it taught me is that I am more worried about what the other people are going to go through, than what's going to happen to me because, like I say, I force myself to live on a very little budget. Like for example, I like for the stuff that I want to eat and the clothes that I want to wear and like toiletries and stuff like that. On myself, I spend no more than $300, including food. $300 a month for that, So therefore, I do that on purpose so that every money that I have extra, I can give it away. Because I do enjoy giving everything away. Because it shows, how free I am to wanting anything that this world has to offer me. I like the bare necessities, and I like to teach the alphabet. With that, I'm a happy camper. But I'm a happy camper anyhow, no matter what happens, So for me, I'm not worried, But with these people that are depending on me and they do the ministry by the stuff that I give them, that's my concern. That's why I began to be worried about that. But I understood what happened, and the reason why God made it happen is so that I will teach the world the concept of money according to Torah. How to be used according to Torah. Because the way you've been taught to use money is according to the corporation and according to the elites. And according to them, the way you think about using money, any time that you use $1, you're forgetting and getting farther away, from finding for what is your most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now. That's what happens. That's one of the reasons that I never really ask, when I do any doctrines or any ministry, I didn't ask anybody for donations. I paid out of my own pocket. And the reason why, because I know that every time a person spends $1, the mindset that tells them what to think is happening when they're spending that $1, just that idea, what they think is happening when they're spending $1, that idea keeps them away farther and further. It's at war with the most spiritual, best physical version of themselves in the here and now. And so I did not want it to contribute to that war, because to me that's the real war taking place in the world. These narratives that do nothing but keep you away from finding where is the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself, so nothing would ever have an effect on you. Because, God forbid that you get to discover it, because then, all their economies will collapse and they will be proven to be such big liars. And they will be ashamed to talk to you, to raise their head because, they fooled you for so long. So God forbid that this will ever happen, So they're happy that you don't study Torah too much, although you don't even know Hebrew, all that stuff. Because, once you discover, how things are set up, woo, But the thing is, I've known this teaching since 1997 about, the real way to look at money. And it's not that you gotta get rid of money. You understand? The money can still be around. But what I'm saying, it will not be used by the elites to control you anymore. That's all. You will still use it, but you will not be persuaded to do everything that they're telling you. You will have a mind of your own to know what best to use it for. And it won't be for forgetting. It will be out every time that you use $1 or whatever it is currency you use, it's going to remind you. It's just going to be a way to remind you of your most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. But right now, every time that you use $1, you don't think about your most spiritual. It doesn't make you think that. It just doesn't make you think like that. That's the farthest thing away from your mind. What it makes you think is the product that I'm going to get. It makes you think in the benefit that I'm going to find, or the entertainment that I'm going to have, or the moment of happiness that I'm going to enjoy. All of these things, it makes you think like that. And in doing that, you're not thinking of the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. And all of that comes because since you do not know the knowledge of yourself, you're destroyed. Like the Bible says, my people are dead or are destroyed because of lack of das, knowledge, intimacy, with me, who I'm their maker. That's why they're destroyed. And because they're destroyed, everybody else can take them out and use them, as pillar of salts to support their agendas. And so God knows all of that, and that's why you're in the situation you're in. So the whole idea is, I'm trying to teach people, so if you do not learn to see things the way from Torah's point of view, you will never understand what's going on in the dynamics of the here and now, and the whole world is going to be taking advantage of you. You're going to be taking things that are upside down, things that are not true about yourself, that are not really needed for yourself, and you're going to be thinking that you do. And in so doing, and in going and agreeing with them, every time you use $1 to follow what they're telling you, you're getting farther and farther away. You are the worst killers of yourself. So there's no thing, because if you killed yourself, like I said, you killed yourself about 31 billion times a day, every second of the day. So if you're killing your real self, your most spiritual, best physical version of yourself in the here and now, 30 billion times per second a day, who is killing the most? The wars that are taking place or you? Okay, you are the biggest killer. But that's what money does. It just reinforces you. You keep on killing the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself 30 trillion times a day. So that's why I would never ask money from people, because I know what is happening by the way the mind has been trained to think about the use of money. So I did not want you to commit a killing parasite. That means killing your own self or your own relatives. That was parasite means. So it's a virus of the mind. All the narratives that are not Torah, it's a virus of the mind. I call it the pit. The parasite, intrusive Trojan. So it's a virus of the mind. You keep on thinking of doing things to forget about yourself. But every time, like in the Bible says, whatever you forget, you kill. If you forget yourself, you're killing yourself. If you forget God, you're killing God. Because it's to remember is to live again. To forget is to kill anew. Remember that. So that's what these things are very delicate to God. When you forget about God, you forget about energies, you forget about faculties, you forget about skills, what happens? You're just going to be a consumer in this world. You're going to be using everything to consume everybody's words in their agenda, because you have no idea what to do with yourself. You become a pit. You become one that just eats away. You become a consumer. just eating away the things and not making them new. Like a pit does, like a sepulcher does. It's just there to turn the flesh into dust. So that's why it is. You just want to use a new phone, use it and abuse it, and then get the next upgrade. Nothing but the behavior of a grave. Just get something until you suck the life out of it, and then up for the next. That's nothing but the behavior. That's what God says that happens. If you don't want to remember powers and faculties and skills and Elohim and intercessors, you're only going to be a consumer in this world. And that's forgetting. So that's why the whole thing is part of what's happening in the here and now. Okay? So, but these are the things that are going on. Well, I explained here, what was going on. That I have read this book a while ago. I want to support this guy eventually. Once the Lord starts sending me some money, because this guy is called the Agent of Truth. Agent of Truth, and his name is Joseph R. Bannister. He worked for years. He was a inspector working for the IRS. Until finally he started hearing on radio that you don't have to pay taxes and you don't have to do that. Everything is really voluntary. I think he was saying he was working for the IRS. Said, nah, that's fake news. But then he began to investigate. He went to the mayor's office. He began to read everything, and then he discovered, as a matter of fact, doing that is unconstitutional. And he went and confronted them. And of course, they're going to have to let him go, right? But they gave him a hard time. But he fought them all, and he finally established himself, and now he's got his own thing going. And he wrote this book that I said, everything, man. If it's something unconstitutional, So, but intimidating people into paying their taxes, intimidating is the work of a bully, gaslighting and stuff like that. That's not constitutional. Because that's all they have, the ignorance of people. People don't know these things, and therefore they think they have to comply. They don't have to comply. Especially if you're not born in this country. Like I was not born here. I was born in Guatemala. I had never become a citizen here. But these are the things. So I leave you with my question again. What, if I were to pay you $1,000 for you can come and tell me what would it take to be the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself? How long would you last to tell me that? How long would you be going for that? How much money would you make? Because that is something to consider. So think about it. But that's all I want to share tonight. I have a big lesson here, but that's what I want to leave it with. Because, we need to be hungry for Torah in order to be fed by it. You gotta be craving something, before you want to taste and bite on it. So if you have no craving for what I'm telling you about, but I'm telling you a lot more or less right now, what is it that you lose when you do not know Torah? You lose the whole you. You lose the most spiritual, best physical version of yourself. And you'll never discover it. And not even your children will discover it. So you lose a lot. I mean, a lot. And you become the best murdering of yourself by every dollar that you use, because you have not been trained the Torah way to use currency, which is the only way. The only thing that currency is doing is what Torah says it does. But nobody even knows that because they have not read it. Okay, but I can teach you all of that. So we'll see how this is going to happen, because I have the whole system now. I have Torology 101. I know how to teach you all of this, the dynamics of the here and now, what is happening, what all the letters in the world are about. I could spend hours talking about this, like right now, look at it, not even teaching too many papers. I went like an hour and, how much is here? An hour and 29 minutes. Wow, that's a long time talking. But I'm going to leave it like that here, and we'll see. But thank you for listening. Those are you that were able to come. Sorry that there was no entertainment, but I thought this is a serious things to consider. All right, let me think here. Put a little music at the end. And now, my fellow APHARIANS, for your listening pleasure, I bring to you this song. It's called "It's Time for Redeeming Man." Alright, it's time for Redeeming Men. Lyrics by yours truly, Zechariah's David Emmanuel, Castro Stevenson. It says it's time for redeeming men, the abs hiding no more. His glory shall be revealed, which all flesh shall behold. And here we go.
It's time for redeeming men, the earth hiding no more. His glory shall be revealed, which all flesh shall behold. It's time for redeeming men, and the earth hiding no more. Redeeming men, the earth hiding no more. His glory shall be revealed, which all flesh shall behold. It's time for redeeming men, the earth hiding no more. His glory shall be It's time for redeeming men, the earth hiding no more. His glory shall be revealed, which all flesh shall behold.
Put your money where your mouth is. Show me what you can do with it. Put your money where your mouth is. Show me what you can do with it.